Welcome to Talking Phat. That's Phat spelled P-H-A-T, which stands for purpose, hope, and truth. This is where solutions are discussed for today's problems in our country, in our communities, and in our lives.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. First of all, let me thank you for taking time once again to tune in to Talking Phat. I am your host, Keith Robertson. And of course, that's Talking Phat, not F-A-T, but P-H-A-T. That's purpose, hope, and truth. That's an acronym, but we'll get into that later. So yeah, I have a artist for you today, a unique and special individual. I mean, he's been on national stages. He's a local celebrity. And I want you to hear his story. And I'm sure it's going to inspire some. I want to introduce you to Julian Haskins, artist extraordinaire. How you doing, Julian?
I'm doing good, man. That was a wonderful intro. I appreciate it.
Hey, brother. Listen, man, I give credit where credit is due. It's so much focus put on nowadays, the negative things that people do, especially we as a people. So when someone is out there pursuing their dreams and being successful at it,
Yep.
we need to put an asterisk beside it. We look at you and look at, your write-ups and everything that you've done, man. But I have that same question that you've probably been asked 1,000 times. What inspires you as an artist, man?
The inspiration, honestly, it varies. There's not one specific thing that inspires me. It's a myriad of things that inspire me. So in terms of the art, and I'll have different, let's say like different series of art and things like that. One of the things that inspired me was relationships I've had, where it's like I want to project and show the positivity in relationships, the happier sides of relationships and things like that. I've also created artwork where the inspiration was the negative side of relationships. I've also had inspiration where showing Black people in portraits of prominence, where it's like, all right, the main aesthetic, the main look, the main focus is seeing Black people looking poised and regal and, things like that. And, that was the aesthetic choice. That was the inspiration behind that. So it honestly varies, and it comes to me just from living life, honestly.
It is so important to show us as people at our best, because it's funny that we would have this little segue here, man. But the other night, I just happened to cut on the television, and it was the first episode of Good Times on. So I'm reflecting back on my youth, but I'm looking at the downtrodden position that this family is in. And that was atypical of what we used to see of ourselves, except for, the Jeffersons were moving on up, of course, but, they were few and far between. So I definitely applaud you for showing, Blackness at its best. I'm going to just say it like that, brother.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
So as you say you get inspiration from everywhere. So what is the creative process that you go through, man?
Oh man, it's honestly trial and error. As with being an artist, like I said, it's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of, sometimes you're just out here winging it, man. So a lot of times with me specifically, a lot of times there's no clear direction of where I want to take something. A lot of my art comes from experimenting with just a simple idea of like, all right, I want to take a break from what I'm doing. Let me try this. And then it turns into, oh, I like this. This came out really well. Let me build on this. And then next thing you know, I got like 8, 9 pieces in, and it's like, oh, all right, cool. But and it's like, that's how it comes from me. It honestly comes from just experimenting.
Let's go back a bit, man. You actually get into this, man. What was that moment that you saw this as an opportunity for a career?
So, all right. You want the long story or the short story?
I just want the real story, brother. Whatever.
Right. So it kind of all intertwines with I This all started in 2013, 2014. I was at a point in my life, I graduated high school and I was just kind of just floating for like 4 years. I graduated in 2010 and I was just kind of floating through life. I didn't really, I'm staying with my parents. I didn't really have much direction. I wasn't in school. I was just working and just kind of floating around, wasn't really doing much. And it got to the point where I was like, all right, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Let me figure something out. And so I just up and one day joined the military. And didn't tell nobody until after I did it. And I was joined the Air Force. And started training and everything, going through the whole thing. And right before, so maybe about maybe about 6 months in, I'm training and stuff, and then I get up one morning and I can't move. Whoa. Like I wake up and I'm just like, I'm stuck in bed. Like my body won't move. And so somehow I dragged myself out of bed and ended up calling the doctors, getting the x-rays done, all of that. And they tell me that it was like, you have this thing called slipped capital femoral epiphysis. That's the scientific word for it. Long story short, it means the ball of my hip grew out of place at the wrong angle. So it's like, so it was like bone on bone. And it's normally something they find in little kids, like when you're younger. And because my bones have stopped growing at the time, it was just complete pain. So it was like bone on bone. It was honestly developing into arthritis at that point. Uh-huh. And so but because at the time when I was younger, I just thought it was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna pop an Advil, keep it moving about my day. Like, but this was different. Like, this was a different type of pain. I couldn't move. So ended up having that. The option was surgery. So I took that option and I had to relearn how to walk afterwards. And so I'm going through like physical therapy and I'm living with my parents and I'm sleeping on their living room floor because I can't go up the stairs. So I'm sleeping on their living room. Like the living room has become my bedroom at this point. And after that, it turned into like one day it got to the point no one was home but me. And I was like, I'm bored. I need something to do. I'm tired of watching TV and playing video games all day. Because after physical therapy, I had nothing else to do. So it was like, I need something to do. And I literally crawled up the stairs, like pulled myself up the stairs, went in my room for the first time in months. And I literally found a canvas and some paint in my room. I forgot it was in there. I ended up grabbing it, taking it downstairs, whatever. And the first thing, it's funny because I don't know if I still have it, but the first thing I like painted was the Wu-Tang logo.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite rap groups, man.
I love Wu-Tang. Mm-hmm. So it's like I painted the Wu-Tang logo, the yellow Wu with all the artists' names around the edge. And that was it. And I posted on my Instagram. Then after that, I just kept doing it. I was like, oh, I kind of like this. It's fun. And I started seeing like the responses from it. And this is early on in Instagram. So when it wasn't really heavy into like influencer culture and stuff like that, it was more kind of genuine back then. And so it's like, all right, cool. You're getting genuine responses and stuff like that. Then I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to keep doing this. Kept doing it. I'm going through rehab and still learning how to walk properly and all this. And I kept going. And then 2014, this is the summer of 2014, I got somebody DM me one day and was like, hey, I have a pop-up shop in downtown Norfolk. I'd love for you to be the featured artist in this space for the week. And I'm like, what?
For the week, okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, what? Like, absolutely. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just out here winging it.
Mm-hmm.
And ended up doing it. And the one thing I learned, which made me really realize, like, all right, cool, I can do this, is I sold pieces.
Uh-huh.
And that's what made me realize, like, oh snap, like, y'all like this? Like,
It's a payday.
yeah. But even like money aside, it's like I learned a lot of lessons through all of that. Like the very first lesson I learned was about not undervaluing your work. That was the very first lesson I learned, because the owner, me and her talked, and she was like, yeah, I want to buy this piece from you. And she was like, how much is it? And I was like, I'm like, it didn't take me long to make. It's like, I'll sell it to you for $80. She was like, you sure? I was like, yeah. She was like, okay. She buys it, and then she was like, I bought it for 80. She was like, our contract stipulates I also get a certain percentage. So long story short, I get left with like $30. And I'm like, hold up. She was like, that's your first lesson. Never undersell your work.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, snap. And so after that, I was like, okay, I'm taking notes. I'm paying attention to everything. And that's when I realized, like, okay, I can start doing this. And I realized, like, it started to feel natural to me. Creating started to feel natural. It felt like it to me at this point, it's breathing to me. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's heavy, man. Like breathing to you. It's something you have to do.
Exactly. Like I honestly don't feel right if I'm not creating something.
Your purpose, man.
Yeah, like I'll have stretches where it's like it'll be like, it'll feel like life ain't going the way it needs to be going. And then I'll look and then like, I haven't created anything. And then once I start creating, that's when things start flowing again. I'm like, okay, that's when I know, that's where I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Wow, that's powerful, man. What you just said was very powerful, brother. I don't know if you realized that or if you said it before, but you know, we all are like that. You know, that creative energy that's within us, you know. When you look at a blank canvas, man, and you have this idea in your mind, how does that canvas come to life? What do you do?
So a lot of this starts before it even touches the canvas. A lot of the process happens before I even unwrap the canvas. Sometimes it's just searching. I'll go search for something. Or I'll go through Instagram and I'll go scroll through like the For You page, and I'll just scroll, just see. And I let a lot of the images, or I let it talk to me. Like, all right, what sticks out to me? It's a whole process for me, honestly, man. Like, let's say I get inspired to do like 6 or 7 different pieces. I'll get 6 or 7 different ideas, and I'll just be like, okay, cool. I'll find what I like. I'll tweak what I like, and then it's like it's kind of like a vetting process. Because if you see my style, it's more or less like the base of my style is creating a stencil, and then I elaborate and build. Well, not elaborate, but I expound and build off of the basic stencil. And so it's a kind of a vetting process. After that, it's like, all right, cool. If I get this image, I'll throw it in Photoshop, and it'll be like, all right, does it do what I want? Does it fit how I want? What can I do? What can I expound on with the backgrounds? Or can I accentuate certain parts of this piece? Can I cut certain things out? It's a whole process. And then once it gets to that point, then it's like, all right, then we get to the canvas. Then
Gotcha.
it's all right, I'm gonna sketch this out on the canvas. And even in the sketching process, I'm making changes. I'm editing stuff where it's like, all right, let's make it bigger, or let's not put the piece in the middle of the canvas. Like that's one thing I learned. Like a lot of my pieces, even like a lot of my newer stuff, it's like it's not perfectly centered. Something about it, I like it a little off, like a little off center.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, cool. I'm changing that, or I'm cutting this out. And then once it's sketched out, that's what I get to work.
So again, you've gone on this journey. You've gone through the military. You got injured. You realize that, hey, I can paint, and I can also sell them. And now you've moved on through life, and now you're on your day-to-day grind as well, but you're still creating. Let's talk about that a little bit, Julian.
Okay. They honestly is really simple. Like it's whatever. Like is I try to have it as structured as possible. At least like the first half of my day. I try to have it as structured as possible. So it's like, all right, cool. I'm up at this time. I work. Then afterwards, I may take some downtime, and then I'll go to the gym, come back, cook dinner, and then I'm creating again, all over again for the rest of the night. That's so like I try to. It's a loose schedule, but I try to make it as structured as possible, honestly. Yeah.
So what are you doing now with your artwork, though? Are you in the process of creating anything new, or?
I just wrapped up a piece a couple of weeks ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago. So right now I'm in a space where it's like I'm not forcing artwork. I don't have anything specific that I'm working on that I need to work on or anything like that. I'm back in the space of painting for fun just because I want to.
Wow.
Whatever I want.
That's great.
And I've been chasing that. It's funny because I have a friend of mine. He's like my art big brother. And him and I talk all the time. And it's like, man, it's like you have those days where you miss the art before the money got involved. And
there was pure art. It wasn't business. There was art, right?
Yeah. That's more like that's what it is before the business got involved, not the money per se, the business, because that's when stuff gets complicated. And a lot of times, if you notice, in a lot of artists kind of fade away from it once the business gets involved. And it's like, it's because the business will drain you, man. It'll drain you. It's not fun at all. Like a lot of stuff ain't fun. But
I can imagine.
Yeah, man. Creating is the fun part. That's the easy part. Wow.
So what is the hard part then? If that's the fun part?
The business stuff, man. The business.
When you process with the stencils and all that, but when the business is involved in it, how does that change that process at all, or are you still?
No, you can't let the business change your process. You have to adapt the business to your process. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's like my process is my process, but the business side of things, and it honestly depends. It honestly depends on what's happening. And I can't speak for all artists because all artists' business, the way they handle their business is different. I know for me, it's more fluid. So I adjust as I go with certain things.
Let me ask. I'm sorry, go ahead. Let me ask you this question, man. You ever had anything to just fall apart, just crash and burn on you? And if you did, I want to know how you overcame that.
Okay. Let me think. Oh, man, yeah. So it was one time, it was a few years ago. I had some artwork that I thought I sold. It. And this is early on, so me not understanding the business side of how to handle certain things, this is where that came into effect. I thought I sold some work and they were like, all right, cool, I'm gonna pay you half for the piece, and then you create it, and then, you know, I would pay you the other half on the back end. I'm like, all right, cool, that works. I ain't had no paperwork or nothing, man. Like I said, I was new. I was just winging it. I'm thinking, you know, I'm taking people taking people word as, you know, as what it is.
Sure.
Man, I created the piece. Thought I killed it. Thought it was the best thing ever. They hit me back like, I don't want this. And I want my money back.
Ooh. Ooh.
Man.
Wow.
And mind you, I done spent that money. I done spent it. And at the time, it was like, to me at that time, it was a lot of money. It was probably like $150, $200.
Mm-hmm.
And that money was gone. And
yeah.
So I'm like, they hit me back. They don't want it. I'm like, God dang. Now I gotta get these people their money back. I gotta figure out. I gotta take this money out my paycheck. Like,
now you in the hole.
Yeah. And so now I'm just like, all right. But it was a lesson in all of that chaos. Because it was just like, all right, cool. Now I have to sit down and get my business in order. Now I have to learn how to do certain things. You can't just. So a lot of times, a handshake ain't work what it used to be.
Man, no, not a lot of times. It's never. It's never, man. No. It's a process, man. And in my last interview, we were talking about it. You know, either academia or life. But many times, the tuition of life costs more than it does in academia. Truly, you know. So that's funny, man. That's funny, and I could see how that would happen. I could see how that happened, and how that would make you want to put what we call fences up. Fences keep neighbors friends. Then that's paperwork. So we talked about that down moment. Now, what has been your best moment as an artist?
Oh man, that's a lot to go back on. I could give you one of the biggest moments for me was being able to go to New York and show my artwork.
Oh, wow, that's big.
Yeah.
That's big.
One of the biggest moments of my art career was being able to do that. Being able to, let's see. I had to think, this is like almost 10 years worth of stuff to go back on.
I mean, New York is pretty big, man. I mean, New York is an art mecca, right?
It's one of them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's worth. It's that city is great. I love it there. Let me see. Being able to actually, one of the ventures I'm in now is one of the biggest moments of my art career that I never would have thought art would have brought me to. Is me being brought on as an art director for a soon-to-be web series, soon-to-be streaming show.
Yes. All right. Kudos, bro.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that's one of the biggest things, because it's like on a podcast just like this, me and the director were talking, because him and I are friends, and it turned into, yo, I have something for you. And I'm like, I would have never thought that this is the direction that painting would take me. And it's like, it opens up my eyes to realize, like, there's doors that you don't even see that you're going to be able to walk through.
Wow.
Because your perspective is only on the canvas. And so now it's anyone can paint. don't look at what you see as, oh, this is what creating is. Because that's not what it is. Creation and art is a myriad of things. What you see in front of you is just an example of it. So you can look at my artwork and be like, oh, I love this. This is what art is. And I'm like, no, that's just a version of what art can be. Because if you're in the money game, I've seen much simpler artwork. Literally, I show people this picture. I have it on my phone. I show people this picture every time they tell me, oh, I can't paint, I can't create this, that, and the third. And let's see if you can, hold on. Can you see it?
Yeah.
All right.
We see it clear.
Yeah. It's just a blue canvas with a white line down the middle.
Yeah, that's what
and
wow.
Then, hold on, I'm gonna tell you how much it's sold for.
Oh man, I'm scared of this. Wow.
Actually, I want you to take a wild guess. Take a wild guess of what you think that piece sold for.
Man, considering what the gentleman had on, and it looked like it was on a big stage, man, it could be 100,000, man.
Oh, you're not even close.
Oh man, come on. Oh my goodness. Somebody give me some blue paint, quick.
Man, that piece is an abstract painting by this artist named Barrett Newman. And it's no discredit to him. Rest in peace to him as well. That piece of artwork sold for $43.8 million.
Wow.
Anyone can create. Anyone can create. Because a lot of times, and this goes back to the business conversation. When you're really deep in the business, it's not about what you create, it's about who you know. Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's a whole different conversation though. That's a whole separate side of art that I'm not even 100% privy to. But that's the art auction game. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, I show people anytime people say I can't create or I'm bad at it, I show them that piece. Just as an example of you want to that moved. That isn't some out of this world spectacular, super hyper realism piece. That is a blue canvas, a painted blue canvas with a white line down the middle. It looks like a tennis court. $43.8 million. And it's sitting in somebody's home right now, or it's sitting in some museum right now. So anyone.
What is your favorite piece of art?
Oh man. Oh, you asking hard-hitting questions, man.
Okay. I'm gonna give you out.
That's like asking
give me a few of your pieces few of your favorite pieces of art. Won't give you can't because you might not be able to say one, but just give a couple pieces that you admire. You know that you like. I get inspiration from that. That's cool. You know.
Let me see, because I'm literally surrounded by the artwork right now, so I'm trying to see what. Oh, all right.
I see an easel behind you. Are you where are you at in your home? Is that where you create your art? Oh man, that picture there, brother. Yeah, wow, man. You gotta show us that. Man, look at that, y'all. Talent. I'm telling y'all, Julian Haskins. Talent.
Very. So yeah, man, that's one of my favorite.
Man, that's nice.
Appreciate it, man. I'm gonna see. Hold on, I'm gonna go grab it real quick for you.
Okay. Hey, y'all. Julian Haskins. All right, look him up. You know, when he's putting on the show, y'all got to come out and support this young man. Oh, all right, man. Yeah.
This piece right here is called "Tell Me About Your Day."
Oh man, okay.
Yeah, this is one of my
Okay.
this is one of my favorite pieces ever that I've ever created.
Wow.
Because that started an entirely new style of art for me. And that was, to me personally, that was the start. I had this conversation a few years ago with some artist friends of mine. And they were telling me, they was like, yo, because if you talk to a lot of artists, a lot of artists will tell you this. They started painting rappers. Like, because it's easy to do. It's so easy to paint rappers. And it got to the point I was in that phase where that's all I created.
I remember seeing some of your pieces, man, back then. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. I was known for that for so long. Like, that was the thing. They were like, oh, you want a painting of a rapper called Julian? Like, that was the thing I was known for. And I didn't want that. I wanted to be known for more than just being able to paint a rapper. And I'll never forget, one of my friends, Chris, told me, he was like, he said, anybody can create a rapper. Anybody can paint that. He was like, but what are you telling us? Like, what's the story that your art's telling us? And he was like, everyone's gonna see a rapper and think of, oh, all right, cool, this is my favorite song from them, or this is my favorite like moment. But when you see artwork, what's the storytelling? What are you giving us? And so that piece right there, Tell Me About Your Day, to me personally, was the start of that. That started my storytelling in terms of, all right, now I know how to create art with a message. You get a feeling behind this when you see it. And then even if I explain it to you, then you're like, oh, I see it even more. I get it even more. Because that piece right there was literally like, that's the first piece that was inspired by relationships that I told you about earlier.
Yeah.
That's one of the first pieces from it.
You know,
it's telling a story about creating vulnerability within a relationship. It shows that comfortability, that there's no walls up. It's the guards are down. It's just me and you. That's what that piece is saying. And it's like, it's that moment where you're home chilling and your girl just come in the house and just lay on your lap like, babe, let me tell you what happened at work today. It's that moment. Because everyone knows that moment.
Absolutely. And when I saw that picture and you gave me the title, everything that you just said, I internalized immediately. All of that. You know?
I will say this though. Every piece of artwork don't need a story behind it. Sometimes it's just like, I wanted to create this and I think it looks dope.
Okay. I can get that.
I will say that. There's because a lot of people kind of get it misconstrued and think it's either one thing or the other. And it's like, no, art is a vast majority of things. Art is meant to create conversation. And sometimes it's just like, yo, there's no deep meaning behind this. Like, I have a painting of a pair of Jordan 1s. There's no deep meaning behind it. I just liked the picture and I felt like painting it. No, it's like I can come up with a cool title for it, but there's no deep-seated meaning behind it. And that's the thing. Like I said, every piece doesn't need some gigantic story behind it. The story is meant for the viewer to create.
So Julian, you knew when I asked you to come on this show, there was a prerequisite. And that prerequisite is the sauce. And the sauce is something that you share with the audience that they can put into act now, today, something that they can actually utilize in their daily lives. So, Julian, what is the sauce that you brought to Talking Phat today?
The sauce that I brought that you can apply to your everyday life, that you can use your everyday life, is what I use every day, which is a glass half full kind of mentality. We all know life happens, but it's about what you can control. I've learned that one of my favorite quotes ever, I have it tattooed on me, is the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of trials and controversy.
That's so true.
And it's about, to me, how I look at it as controlling what you can control and taking control of your day and not trying to conquer everything at one time. It's about the little things. You can't clean a whole room at one time. It's about picking one thing up at a time. You got to enjoy the process of whatever you're doing, whether you're a singer, a cook, a musician, a podcast. You have to enjoy the process. It's chopping wood and picking up water, man.
Wow, that was some great sauce, Julian. Yeah, we're going to be able to use that, y'all. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to another episode of Talking Phat. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Julian is a talent and a refreshing young brother to talk to. I mean, we see where he's headed. We see where he's headed. And when you get there, brother, don't forget us back here at Talking Phat. Come on back and have another conversation with us in the not too distant future. Really appreciate you. Well, guys, I'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to Talking Phat. I am Keith Robertson, your host. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for taking time to tune in to Talking Phat. As we know better, we must do better, because action of knowledge leads to power. If this content has been useful to you, please like and share. Tune in again. Peace and blessings.
I'm Julian Haskins. I'm an artist from Norfolk, Virginia, and I've just been talking Phat.